The time is now to architect a life of excellence. What will we do? Who will we become? We decide today. This is Learn, Do, Become Radio. Let's move onward and upward together.
Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry and I'm so glad that you've joined me today to talk about Asana and how we're going to use this tool to help us to manage our projects and routines so we can totally enjoy our families. Now, let me just back up for a second because Learn, Do, Become is all about strengthening families. My single goal in finding new tools, whether they're paper or electronic or something for my home, is to make my family happier and less stressed and more able to serve and live our purpose. And I want the same for you. We're all about architecting lives of excellence, and that means that we need systems in place so we're not overwhelmed and so we don't feel completely inundated by everything coming at us. Now, with all that you have going on, you want to wake up in the morning and be able to see exactly what you need to do to move forward. What I've been hearing is that a lot of people are feeling extremely overwhelmed with multiple projects that have multiple sub-projects and subtasks, and it goes on and on and on. And it feels like there's so much that needs to be done, but we don't need to feel overwhelmed because I know how that feels, and I'm going to show you a way to get out of that today. Now, Eric and I were recently on Amy Porterfield's podcast, and I will link to that episode on our show notes for this podcast. So everything I'm talking about today, you can find at learndobecome.com/episode 15. Now, on Amy Porterfield's podcast, we talked about how to get our email inboxes to zero, and I received so many messages from people who said, I listened to that podcast 3 times, I got 4 email inboxes to zero, or however many they had. It was awesome, and they've had amazing success. I love it. So I want you to check that out because we can totally get your inboxes to zero. But on that podcast, we also talked about Asana. That's a tool that Amy has been using with her team to manage tasks. And I worked with her to help make it work more optimally. And so as we talked about that on the podcast, we didn't go into detail, but I have literally been inundated with messages asking for more on how to use Asana. So while Asana is a visual thing, it's a website, it's an app, I'm going to actually walk you through the principles behind it in this podcast, hoping that you can be listening while you're either driving to work or while you're exercising or getting ready for the day or maybe cleaning up the kitchen or something like that. And I want you to be able to feel a few things. Number one, I want you to get a feel for how we process ideas and tasks here at Learn, Do, Become. Because it's very much based on kind of a combination of David Allen's Getting Things Done and Greg McKeown's Essentialism with a touch of Stephen Covey and Fly Lady. Those are some of my greatest mentors who have really helped me. Plus, we're able to put things together in a really family-centered way. My goal is to help create wonderful tools for family-centered productivity. That's what we're going for. So I want you to get a feel for just how we process things. I also want you to use this time listening to this podcast to get a feel for if your current system is working for you. I love hearing how other people are doing things because then I can just compare it to what I have. It's kind of an A/B test and see, hey, am I feeling like I'm getting the results with the current system I'm using? And then if you are getting results, awesome. If you're not, then you can try this and see if it will be helpful to you. And I also want you to know that if you're overwhelmed, if you feel like you're never moving forward and there's just too much to do, I want you to know that there are tools out there to help you, okay? And I want to help you. Eric and I run the Steps to Everyday Productivity program at Learn, Do, Become. And now, while most of my time right now goes to building and caring for the community there, I want to have these free resources on learndobecome.com to help anyone who's looking to move forward. And I'm hopeful that we can be that for you. Okay, so today we're going to talk about what Asana is, why you would want to use it. We'll talk about how to set it up for project management and for routines. And then we're going to talk about how to best utilize Asana to work with your daily task list and your calendar, and how to structure it for team project management. So whether you're a parent who's just trying to manage all of the details of a home and family, or if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, someone who's just working alone, trying to build something, or if you're a team leader who has multiple people working on projects with you, Asana can work in all those cases. And so I'm just going to show you how that would work. And I can't wait to dive in. All right, I'm going to share a little bit more about my story. My goal is to help apply principles of organization to whatever tool you want to use. So if you love paper planners, if you want to use Evernote, if you want to use Trello or Kanban Flow, whatever it is that you like to use, I want you to be able to use it. And I want you to understand that it's all about the principles behind it that enable your brain to be totally calm. Okay, so that's the goal. Now, because I work with literally thousands of people around the world, helping them to get organized and work with teams or work with whatever apps they want to use, I dive into a variety of different ones. So sometimes it seems like I'm hopping from tool to tool to tool. And really the goal for me is just to be able to understand what's out there, understand which tools would work best for which situations, and then be able to speak on that. All right. Now, I've used paper planners for years to manage my projects. Before I had a smartphone, I had all my project management just happening in my Franklin Covey planner, which I still use my Franklin Covey planner. I just don't use it for all of the project management because I found that it's just amazing to be able to use so many of these online tools that integrate with my Google Calendar, and it's pretty fantastic. All right. So I've used also Evernote a lot more, and I'll talk about how we use that. Kanbanflow.com has some great resources. It's very much like Trello, which is fantastic. So there's a lot of different options out there, but here's what happened. I started working with some team leaders who were using Asana with their team, and I found that a lot of the team members were really enjoying Asana, but the team leaders were feeling overwhelmed by it. So I thought, well, let me dive in and see if I can figure out a way to make Asana work a little bit better so it doesn't feel overwhelming to the team leaders. And I've actually found a great way to do that. So that's what we're talking about today. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper into Asana right now, and I'll explain a little bit about what Asana does. So it's a free task and project management tool. It does have an upgrade option. I haven't looked into that as much yet, but you can start out free and do a ton with it. So I definitely think it's worth getting going. And it works really well with Teams. It's easily accessible from any device, and it integrates with your calendar. Now, Asana allows you to organize projects and break them down into sub-projects and tasks. You can assign different parts of the same project to different team members. You can converse back and forth with the team members because every step has a comment section. Now, projects can be private or they can be shared with a team, so you could manage your personal life and your business in Asana and only share certain sections of it with the people who need that information. Asana is also easily searchable for keywords. Now, when I was using Kanban Flow, it wasn't searchable. Didn't love that. But Asana, you can search for whatever project or task you're looking for and easily locate it. You can also add tags. You can email tasks into Asana. You can upload photos or images or files. And you can even receive an email every day explaining your upcoming tasks in Asana. I actually have it set up as well where if a team member leaves a comment or mentions me or assigns something to me, I receive an email about that notifying me. So it's just a great way to keep track of all the stuff that needs to be done. All right, now I had a question come in that said, how is Asana different from Evernote? Now, I think of them as completely separate tools because they have totally different capabilities. I think of Evernote like a huge filing cabinet for any information that I want to store. So if I download a PDF, if I record a quick audio file that I want to save, if I'm taking notes in a meeting, or if I'm brainstorming this podcast. I'm actually reading my podcast notes out of Evernote. It's a great tool for things like that. Also, if I take a screenshot on my phone that has information for a product I want or a conversation I need to have or anything like that, I immediately put that screenshot into Evernote, label it appropriately so I can find it and it won't be hidden in my camera roll, right? And Evernote's amazing to be able to help manage all of those details of your life. Asana is what helps me to know what needs to happen every day on my specific projects. Now, you can use Evernote to outline projects. You can set reminders that are connected to notes to pop up and tell you what needs to happen that day. Evernote actually could be used in a similar way, but I feel like Evernote's strength and genius is being able to work as an awesome filing cabinet for every piece of information that I would normally have stored in my head or on my desk or something like that. And I feel like Asana is uniquely equipped to help us to manage these projects and tasks. I just think it's a better layout. So totally up to you. You could use Evernote, but I think Asana is great. Another question came in saying, well, tell me how Asana is different from Trello. The layout, again, is just different. Trello uses boards to organize information. So you can have columns within a board, and you can have things like, the way I used it is I had next in line projects on the left, and then I had current projects next, in progress or waiting for projects next, and then a done column. So I used that to manage my project list. I would put all the projects I wanted to do in that next in line list. I'd pick just a couple to put on my current projects list. And then if I had delegated one of the tasks of a project and I couldn't move forward on the project anymore, I moved it over to the waiting column. And then when the project was done, I just moved it over to done. So that's a great way to use Trello. And Trello, I'm sure you can use it tons of different ways. I'm not the expert on Trello, but I'm finding that Asana is doing a very similar job. It just works in a format that I really enjoy. Okay. All right. So how do I personally use Asana? I use it to track all of my computer tasks and projects related to LearnDoBecome.com. All right. So Eric and I run Learn Do Become. This is our full-time thing. And while I do have a context-based list in my paper planner to manage things like home activities, errands, phone calls, and discussion items, I use Asana for all of my business computer work. Now, I'll back up for a second on that. In the podcast that we recorded with Amy Porterfield, I explained that before you dive in and just get your emails to zero, you need to build what I call a command central. Now, that's what I teach in our Steps to Everyday Productivity program. How do you build a command central? How do you get the whole thing set up so you don't have a bunch of tasks floating around? A key component of that command central is having a context-based next actions list that works with your calendar. So during the day, really, I have three things at play. I've got a very streamlined calendar that has, like for today, I have an appointment that we're going to for a few hours, and then I'm recording podcasts, and I have a meeting later this afternoon. And then this evening, I'm helping at the church with the girls. So that's three things that I have on my calendar that need to happen today. I also have some calendar-based tasks. So I'm actually looking at my planner right now. I have about 4 things that need to happen today. I need to talk with my friend Brenda about something. I need to talk with Eric about something today, like they need to happen today. I needed to record this podcast today, so I'm doing it. And I'm putting together a special PDF about 10 things to do in 2 minutes or less. All right, so those are the 4 things that need to happen today. Now, other than those things, though, I'm going to have more time. I'm going to have some time to make phone calls. I'm going to have some time to run errands. I'm going to have more computer time. So then the question is, well, what do I do with all of that extra time if there's not something that has to happen today? That's where Asana comes in, because I have all of my projects organized there and the subtasks are defined and ready, and I'm able to easily see what's next, right? Okay, So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But the thing is, when you run a business, and especially when you're working online, I feel like things come so fast at you that working with paper just didn't work because there were too many details and too much that needed to happen. That's why Asana holds all of my business work. I also use Asana to collaborate on projects with our team members because it's awesome. Like, I'm working on publishing a book for my mom right now that I wrote about my mom, which I'm super excited about. I'll talk to you more about that as we explain how projects are organized. But I have that whole thing outlined in Asana, and then Danielle, who's our awesome assistant, is helping me to move forward on some of the tasks of that project. So I took half, she's taken half, and we're working together to make it work. All right, I also think about Asana as a place to hold key images or documents that we need for those specific projects. I'm starting to do this more and more, but here's the thing. If you're working with a team and you have images or PDFs or something that you're frequently accessing, you're going to want them in something like a Dropbox or a Google Drive or Evernote. But if, let's say, I'm working on putting together a page for the book I'm writing, and I have a image of the book that I want used on the main page, I want it used in emails, I want it used, in many places throughout our website and our community, I want Danielle to have access to that specific image, and I don't want her to have to go look through Dropbox or Evernote or, Google Drive to find it. I want it to be right there. So on that project page, I can just upload the image and there it is. So as she's working on it and as I'm working on it, the image is immediately accessible. So I think that's awesome with Asana. I also think of Asana as one big Pez dispenser. When Eric and I teach our classes on productivity, we talk about how when you put together a current project, we think of it like a Pez dispenser. And each little piece of candy in the Pez dispenser is the smaller step. So you'll have maybe 10, 15 smaller steps that go into one project. So when I look at Asana, I think of it as a place that holds all my Pez dispensers and then helps me to know what's the next little piece of candy in each one. What's that top next action in each project? And Asana can help me to put those together, easily find them, and move forward. Because if I have 3 or 4 projects I'm working on right now, when I have time pop up, I want to do the most important next action to move those projects forward. Okay, so hopefully I've explained that well enough. I also try to minimize all deadlines within Asana, though, because it overwhelms me to see a whole bunch of arbitrary deadlines come up at the same time and not be able to move forward on them. And in Asana, let's say you say, all right, this task needs to happen by Thursday, and this one by Friday, and this one by Saturday, because you've outlined this ideal project. Well, if you do that for 25 projects, you're not going to be able to keep track in your mind of when everything needs to get done, and you're going to feel super overwhelmed. So instead, what I do is I organize the projects a little bit differently. I'm going to explain how I do that. And then I can go to Asana and breathe. Because if you see a red overdue deadline pop up, you're going to feel like you're behind. The goal is to trick your mind or teach your mind that you're always ahead. There's plenty of time. There's no stress. All right. So now I'm going to explain how I personally organize my Asana account and how I've helped other people do the same thing. And I want to keep it really, really simple today so you don't feel overwhelmed, all right? First, I'm going to explain how Asana is organized. Asana's top level category is called a project. Now that felt a bit overwhelming to me because I literally have hundreds of projects and I needed a better way to structure them. And as I looked into how other people were using Asana, I noticed that they were doing a very similar thing, putting every project into the projects list and then dividing it into subtasks and assigning some of them to people and deadlines. But a lot of information was just sitting dormant. If a project wasn't really happening right then, it would just kind of be waiting and hanging out, but there were a lot of just tasks and things in limbo. Anytime you have papers or ideas or tasks in limbo, that's going to cause stress. So we want to minimize that. So what helps me is to think of Asana's projects as categories, all right? And each person in your Asana account will have 2 categories of their own. One will be their projects and one will be their routines. Now, it's not required to have routines in there. I would say projects is absolutely required. Routines are an option, but if I were setting up a team, I would make sure that each person had their own projects and routines if needed. So we have April's projects and Danielle's projects and April's routines. And Danielle manages her routines in a different way, but she may put them in Asana at some point. Okay. All right. Now we have a few extra categories, but I'm not going to go into them now because they are totally different and unique to what we're doing here. But I can maybe do that in a future podcast. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's just talk about the basic process. So you wake up in the morning, you look at your calendar to see what you have to do that day. You also look at My Tasks in Asana. It's at the very top of the screen if you're working on a desktop. You just look at My Tasks and you sort them by deadline. So that way, Asana will look at all the projects and tasks and pull the ones that have deadlines right at the very, very top. So I try to minimize the deadlines as much as possible, but I found that it is super helpful to be able to just go in and look at my tasks and see what 1 or 2 or 3 things need to happen that day. What I found is if I get more than 3 tasks in Asana that are due on the same day, it's going to overwhelm me. So I try to minimize the deadlines as much as possible. I'll talk more about that. But Asana then fills in the gaps in my calendar and enables me to move forward on my projects. All right. Now, then when I'm working through my plan for the day, I'm fielding emails periodically to keep those at 0. So I'll have to maybe check my email 3-4 times a day. And when free computer time is available, I'm just working on those key projects and tasks in Asana. Okay. So yes, I go to the My Tasks first because they have the due date. But then I'm able to just get ahead of the game. I click on April's projects where I have the projects totally organized. It's an amazing feeling. So that's why I want you to use Asana, because I want you to feel how you can just be ahead every day. So let's dive into how we organize the projects, all right? Where I have April's projects, I'm just going to give you a virtual walkthrough of that. If you click on April's projects on the left, remember I think of that as a category, Asana calls it a project, you'll see a whole series of lines show up on the page where you can add tasks. Now, it's great to be able to add as many tasks as you want in there, but when you just have tasks in front of you, like 50 tasks, it feels overwhelming. So that's where I write my project names, and I'm able to create sections. So basically, when you create a section, it gives you bolded text and a colon, and it acts as a nice label to divide up your projects. So right now, if I click on April's projects, I probably have 50 projects in there, but they're organized into 4 sections. Section number 1 is current projects. Those are the multi-step tasks, the projects I am working on right now this week. And if I have more than 2 or 3, it's way too much for me. Mentally, I can't move forward on more than 2 or 3 business projects at the same time. So current projects has the 2 or 3 most important projects on them. Section number 2 is called in progress/waiting. Those are projects that I either have the next task on my calendar, like, oh, I'm going to work on my book on Sunday afternoon, or I've delegated a part of that project to somebody and I'm waiting to do it because I can't move forward till I get that portion back from the person to whom I've delegated it, right? I find that's a problem business owners have a lot, where they start working on a project, but then they can't move forward. So they're just sitting there waiting, not knowing what to do. So that's why you have 2 or 3 projects. So you can bounce back and forth. And then as projects are waiting, they just sit there in that waiting section, all right? Section number 3 is called next in line projects. You have to have a next in line project list because you're getting new project ideas every day. I just had a new idea come to me yesterday and I thought, I want to go do this. But I thought, I can't do it right now. I have projects already in line and I have projects I'm working on right now. But I can add that to my next in line projects list so I can think about it and assess it during my weekly review and see if it will graduate to my current projects list. All right, so we're already in the 3 sections: current projects, in progress/waiting, and next in line projects. And the final section is called someday. So when you get a good idea and you're like, oh, I can't do it right now. It's not even important enough to be next in line, but I could do it someday. You just go ahead and add it to that list. This is the most beautiful place. I love it. I open up April's projects and I can see here's what's current. Here's what's already in progress. Here's what I can do next. And here's my someday list of all my wishes and dreams. It's beautiful and it's exciting. So now let's talk about what happens when you click on a project. You can give it a due date. You can add comments to it. You can add tags. You can upload your attachments. And the best part is you can create subtasks. One of the most common mistakes that we make when we're organizing our task list is that we put projects on our task list. So I would write something like publish a book, right? Or get a podcast published. Those are projects. Those aren't tasks. So within Asana, you have the projects, the multi-step tasks clearly outlined, but then you have a little icon you can click within each project to be able to break it down into steps. Now, you can also break those steps down into steps and then those steps down into steps. So you can set it up where you have it organized at the very most basic level of detail. However, this doesn't need to stress you out because you're not going to put a deadline on every single detail and every little thing in there. The idea is that you put deadlines on the things that absolutely need to happen. And you can create some little triggers and say, well, I at least need to think about this project by this date and add that on. But you don't need to have tons and tons of deadlines. You're going to be working at this as you can throughout the open moments of your day and your week, and it's going to feel amazing. What's awesome is that on each of the subtasks of your project, you can delegate those to a different person and it'll show up under their task list. So it's phenomenal. And if I know, hey, I need this certain page made by Friday and Danielle is going to help me to do it, I can assign the task to Danielle and put a date by Friday, and then she can see that appear in her task list. Same thing. If we're working on a project that's going to go live next Wednesday and Danielle's done her part and she's managing the project and she's like, ooh, April, I really need you to review this by Monday so I have time to be able to go through it. She can assign it to me, ask any questions. I can look at that and then I can be helpful, right? Okay, so just being able to assign these projects to sections and then to be able to break them into subtasks and have the flexibility to assign those tasks to people and give them deadlines is awesome. So I love it. That's how I organize my projects. All right, now we're going to dive in to talk more about routines. It takes a lot to run a home and a family and a business, and routines can kill you. Routines lists can kill you. But there are two ways that I can think of to incorporate routines into Asana. And one way will kill you, but one way will thrill you, okay? We're going to talk about how they work. Now, both ways start the same. Remember how we talked about creating, like I have April's projects and April's routines. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to have my projects, we already talked about that, and then my routines. Then you can create sections featuring the categories of your routines. For example, I have leadership routines, content creation routines, marketing routines, customer service routines, networking routines, etc. Now, once your headings are complete, where you know what are all the things that I do in my business or in my life, right? Then you're going to type out everything that you need to do to keep those things moving. Now, some of those routines will be daily and some weekly and some monthly, but it's really helpful to know, all right, in, for example, the marketing aspect of my business, here are the things that I need to do to keep that going. Now, the way that will kill you is to make every single routine connected to a repeating deadline. Now, I love that Asana gives you the ability to create repeating tasks. When you click on a task, you can set the calendar date when it's due, but you can also say, repeat this weekly on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, or repeat this on Tuesdays and Fridays, or repeat this every month. You can put it together so the task will remind you and keep coming up, which is great. It's awesome. But if you have 500 things that are all repeating deadlines and they're all showing up in red telling you that you're overdue, you're constantly going to feel panicked. And so you don't want to set it up that way. That is going to kill you if you're going to do that. All right. So I love that it's an option, but you need to make sure that you use that feature wisely. So that's the way that kills you, is to put deadlines and repeating deadlines on every routine you have. The way that will thrill you is to add recurring deadlines only to the routines that have to be done, or your life or business will come to a screeching halt. Okay. So that's maybe 3 to 5 routines for me. So if there's something where you think, if I don't do this, I'm seriously going to let the whole world down, or my business will fall apart, or I'll have all these issues, or something like that. Yes. Now you might think, well, that's everything. No, it's not the case. If I don't post to social media every single day, the world is not going to come to a halt. If I don't get a podcast out every Wednesday like I wish I could, that's okay. No one's going to die. Yes, do we want to continually improve and we want to make things better? Yes. But things like, okay, if you have a company payroll, or you have bills, or you have something that has to happen, yes, you want to put a repeating deadline on that if you need the reminder, okay, or if it's not already on your calendar. But the thing is, you only want to have recurring deadlines where needed. For me, it's maybe 3 to 5 routines. So that's important to be able to assess that and recognize not everything in your life and your business is as important as you might think it is. I remember when I was a new mother, I thought that I needed to iron every Thursday. So I actually had it on my routines list. I'm going to iron every Thursday. And if I wasn't in the mood to iron, or if I hadn't slept well that night, or if there was a ton of stuff going on, I would feel like, I have to do it anyway because it's on my list. Well, that's ridiculous. And to tell you the truth, I haven't ironed in years. We've found some good fabrics that can be fluffed in the dryer, or our family members can now do their own ironing. It's totally okay. Some wrinkled clothes never killed anyone. Okay, so I just want you to see that you only need recurring deadlines on those things that are critical, or things that maybe you've been forgetting and you're trying to reestablish the routine. Then as soon as it's good and it's in place, take the deadline off. Don't keep it on there anymore. It's going to change your life, right? Those red overdue tasks, those are the enemy. We're not going to have those pop up. And you're in charge of whether they pop up or not. Okay, so if you have a routines list that has everything there that you need, but they don't have deadlines, you're going to sing as you open Asana every day, because you're going to see this vision you've created, but you're not going to feel like it's running you. You are in charge of your life. You are the one who gets to decide what you're going to do. And I think sometimes we give this control to our calendar or to our task list, and that's not the case, and that's not leadership, okay? All right, so one final thing I'm going to cover about working with Asana is how you can use it with a team. Now, if you don't have a team, that's okay. I would still use Asana if I didn't have a team, but it's pretty awesome, the fact that you do. So every day you check My Inbox, which shows you any activity or shows you comments or things like that. Now, I have activity emailed to me, so I don't really need to check my inbox. I'm never surprised what's in there. It's always been coming to my email. But that's where team members can assign tasks to you, and you can at least just review it and see what's going on. Now, if you feel any concern that when you assign a task to a team member that the ball will get dropped, you could create a task for yourself with a deadline reminding you to follow up. That's totally possible to do that. However, what you'll find is when your whole team uses the same process to organize projects and tasks, and when you can help your team members to alleviate their stress, nothing's going to fall through the cracks, and you'll be able to accomplish everything in a timely manner without feeling overwhelmed and without feeling a lot of rush, okay? So I hope that this has been a good review of Asana. Obviously, you'll want to get into the software and try it out. But if you just went in there today, started your new free account, you created My Projects and My Routines, and then you just set it up with the labels and subcategories I talked about, and then only put in the minimal amount of deadlines. Keep it super short, super specific. You're going to be so happy. All right, so now if you want more, if you want to learn how to actually put all this together, you want to see videos, you want to learn how to build your entire Command Central, and you want to come work with us, you need to check out our Steps to Everyday Productivity program. It is phenomenal. The community is fantastic. The step-by-step instructions will show you everything that you need to be able to build your Command Central, get it up and running, and to be able to feel relaxed and awesome every day. We're going to show you how you get rid of all the paper piles, how you get rid of the clutter, how you can make sure that your projects are moving forward. We would love to have you join us. And we have a webinar you can find at learndobecome.com/step. Okay, so come check us out there. Enjoy. And we'll have links and some images on our podcast show notes page at learndobecome.com/episode 15. So come check us out. We're so excited to be able to have you with us. All right, so the official podcast is now over, but I'm going to share a couple of the things that are on my current projects list right now if you want to stick around and hear about those. One of the things on my current projects list is publishing my book, Thursdays with Zoe. Now, I've previously published the audiobook and the ebook under the title Your Children Want You, but my mother-in-law was reading the book for me and she said, April, I love the book, but you've got to change the title because it's not just for mothers or parents. Everyone needs this book. She's like, I laughed, I cried, I loved reading about your mom and the lessons you've learned from her. She's in the last stages of Alzheimer's. So Thursdays with Zoe is coming out next week and I can't wait for you to hear about it. So you can go to learndobecome.com/Zoe, and the actual paperback will be coming out next week. But make sure that you are connected with us at Learn Do Become so that you can come and get the book. It's awesome. I've been working on it for 4 years, writing these stories of my mother's life and putting it together so it can bless you and your family, and I hope you love it. So yes, that's one of my biggest projects right now. Right now we are getting the digital files updated, all the pages updated with the new titles, and I'm doing the final proof review of the book. It's coming in the mail in the next couple of days. So anyway, so excited. This is like dream come true. And you know what? Asana helped me get there. Yay! Because all the steps of publishing the book are in Asana. It's awesome. All right. The next thing that's on my current projects list is I'm preparing a membership program. I have been so excited about this and kind of nervous, not scared because it's exciting, but I just want to share with you and let you know it's coming. It's just in the early planning stages right now. But the thing is that I have loved creating our Steps to Everyday Productivity program, and I want to continue growing that and nurturing that community and helping the entire world to get emails to zero, build a Command Central, have total mental clarity. Like, that's really important to me because I feel like that's what I'm best in the world at doing. But I've also wanted to serve people at a deeper level because it's not just about productivity. What's exciting is to watch how people within just, 15 to 20 hours can get their life totally in order and build their Command Central and emails at zero and feel amazing about their lives. But then what? Then what do you do with that? So I've put together an idea of a membership where we'll come in and we're going to then strengthen each other to live that life that we want. Now that we're productive, what are we going to do about it? And I'm flipping through my planner right now because I've put together some brainstorms of the categories that we're going to be covering within the program. I don't know if these will be the final categories, but here's what you would expect. And I think I know the title of the program, but I'm not 100% sure. So right now the working title is Arise. Okay, so it's a monthly membership at Learn to Become called Arise. And here are the categories that I'm excited to talk about. First is creating space and order. Not just getting rid of clutter, but creating that mental space and space in our lives and becoming essentialists, okay? Then strengthening our family and our relationships. That's going to be a big part of it because at the end of the day, what really matters is the people in your life, right? Third is healthy living. A lot of you know I'm the co-host of The Sane Show with Jonathan Baylor. So we'll talk a little bit about nutrition and exercise, but it's also just about healthy living in general. How are we making sure we're taking care of ourselves? So we'll work on that. Expanding our influence. How do we give back? What kind of a legacy are we living? How can we live our lives for others and not just for ourselves? Play and recreation. I feel a little pain in my heart when I hear people say, I never do anything fun, nothing that I enjoy, or I never take a vacation, or I never just get to enjoy my life. We're going to talk about how you can do that, and we'll work together to do that on a regular basis. Next is clear thinking and mindset. So, what do we do to keep our mindset healthy? The work I've been doing with Dr. David Burns to get his information out there on anxiety and depression, help you to be able to feel awesome every day, that's really important. I'm also a huge student of Carol Dweck. Love her book, Mindset. She's amazing. So we'll be working and building off some of the great work that those individuals have done. Next is living your purpose. I've been doing something called my butterfly project for the past couple of years, and I want each of you, whether male or female, to do your own butterfly project where, and I'll explain more about that later, but it's about how we're going to stop living in the weeds as caterpillars, and we're going to go through our transformation, because even though it sounds totally silly, I even feel silly even talking about it, it's amazing to go through this process and see yourself becoming what you're meant to become. We're also going to talk about education, improving your mind. People will ask me, how do you make time to read? Or what books do you read? Or how do you do it? I want to help give synopses of the best books and help you to really find the best tools and resources to help your mind. And I'm hoping that you'll do likewise in the membership. Rest and rejuvenation is another one. Getting enough sleep. I want to have more margin, more time to breathe, more time to enjoy and just be available and get that rest that we need and feel replenished. We'll also talk about goal achievement, and not just the idea of let's just set and achieve goals, but let's talk about what those goals are. Let's help each other move forward on them. And faith and drawing closer to God. I feel like that's one of those things that I need and want to talk about. There is such a beautiful amount of power available to all of us. And regardless of our specific religious beliefs, I think we can all build on this common ground that there's a higher power, and we have a choice how close we are to that power. And another one is being wise with our stewardships, our financial resources. I've been using the You Need a Budget software, and Eric and I have been learning a lot about how you manage your money and how you can make sure that you are on sound financial ground, right? And we're going to be talking more about that. So those are just my brainstorm. I seriously just opened up my notebook. But I want to have a membership where we're all able to work together to learn, do, and become. So excited about it. Just wanted to share. So, okay, come check out the podcast show notes page. More information's there. learndobecome.com/episode 15. So glad you're here. Thank you so much, and look forward to having you in future podcasts. Take care, everybody.